I think that when evaluating the Palestinian Authority, you have to look at two different things. On the one hand, the Palestinian Authority is a political interlocutor for the Israelis, and obviously relations on the political end of things have been difficult, as evidenced by President Abbas's speech last week, which was in many ways disqualifying in terms of being a political partner. But there's also a security aspect to the relationship, and in that respect, the Palestinian Authority and Israel have indeed worked very closely together and continue to do so. So I think that when evaluating whether the PA is a partner or not, you have to decide what you're talking about, whether it's security or politics.
Now, then what do you say to Balabon's claims that the Palestinian peoplehood is in fact a myth, criticising what he calls their sense of entitlement to a state?
I'm not sure that it's up to anyone to evaluate whether another nationalism is justified or not. I would hope that rather than decide whether the Palestinians deserve a state or don't deserve a state, we would be having a conversation along the lines of whether the institutions are in place for them to have a state, whether the mechanics are in place for them to have a state, whether they are able to successfully negotiate with Israel to have a state. But I'm not sure that the conversation that brings values into it, as if the Palestinians have to prove whether they deserve one or not, is a useful or helpful way of looking at the situation.
All right, so then let's look at some of the pieces of the puzzle. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, does he present as a viable partner for the peacemaking process? Is he Israel's best chance, as some are saying?
I find it very difficult to see a scenario, given where we are, in which President Abbas will agree to any deal with Israel. I think that he has admirably, for a long time, been a two-state advocate, but I also don't think that he is strong enough domestically within his own politics to say yes to any agreement that will be on the table. And certainly his current frustration with both the Trump administration and the Netanyahu government probably preclude him from negotiating in any serious way. So I think that if the Israelis are going to strike a deal with the Palestinians, it will probably have to be with a new leader.
Now, there has been criticism about Trump's Jerusalem declaration, how he did it, the timing of it, and that the decision will make it impossible for the Palestinians to come to the table in terms of face-saving and all the rest. Balabon proposed before that the Palestinians aren't even interested in peace. Then what should Trump have done differently?
So, to start, I think that it's certainly very important that the United States recognized officially that Jerusalem is indeed the capital of Israel. It is the seat of Israel's government, and doing so righted a historic wrong that really never should have been in the first place. But the other rationale the Trump administration gave for recognizing Jerusalem as the capital was that it would advance the peace process. And I think that on that count, it made things a lot more difficult. Had I been in charge of Israel policy under the Trump administration, I would have recognized West Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and I would have simultaneously made it clear that a future Palestinian capital and a future Palestinian state, which will come about after direct negotiations with the Israeli government, will be in East Jerusalem. And I don't think that President Trump went quite far enough in his contention that his recognition of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel was not prejudicing final borders or any final status negotiations. I think that it would have been more conducive to the process if he had been more clear that an eventual Palestinian capital will indeed be in East Jerusalem, and once that is established, then the borders of West and East Jerusalem can be set between the two parties.
All right, we'll wait and see if we are still in a stalemate. Once again, Michael Koplow, thank you for that insight.